Last year, I made a video about the 7 manga that you needed to read in 2022. And that video did fairly well. So, as a YouTuber, I'm obviously going to do that again. Today, I've got 7 manga you should read in 2023. Kind of. And it's 2.5 months late. Sorry. Ever the air of professionalism on the Nerd Lounge. So we might as well dive straight in with Tatsuki Fujimoto's releases for this year. If you weren't already aware, Tatsuki Fujimuto, the mangaka of Chainsaw Man, is one of my favourite in the industry. And this year he's got a couple of releases coming out. The first one is Tatsuki Fujimoto Before Chainsaw Man. This is 2 short story compilations, one of which has already released, that are basically collections of short stories that Fujimoto made before he created Chainsaw Man. Both of the compilations themselves focus on certain years of his life, and I believe they were also both done before Fire Punch. Like I said, you can already grab the first compilation, but the second one is coming out in April. And whilst I haven't read it yet, I'm sure Tatsuki Fujimoto is once more a master at creating stories, and I'd love to see them in short format. Next up, speaking of short stories, is Goodbye Eri. This is the second of Tatsuki Fujimoto's one-shots, the first one being Look Back, which released last year. Unfortunately, I can't give you a synopsis on this one because I want to go into it blind, but I've heard nothing but amazing reviews for this particular story that he created. And it's going to be releasing at the end of June. And finally, this one's kind of a cheat, but it's Chainsaw Man Part 2. We've had no physical release announcement for this just yet, but it will be coming soon. If you want to know my thoughts about Chainsaw Man Part 2, I have 2 videos focused on it. I'll put them in the cards in the corner, one of which is one of my most recent videos that I put a lot of effort into. But I have been really enjoying it. I've been reading it as it comes out in Weekly Shonen Jump, and hopefully we'll get some physical editions by the end of this year, which would be crazy because that means that Tatsuki Fujimoto released 4 different things in 1 year. Now, moving on, we're going to talk about one of my favorite mangas ever, and that is Homunculus. We are finally getting a physical release of Homunculus over in the UK and US, and I couldn't be more excited. Homunculus is a psychological horror drama series that focuses on a main character who undergoes a surgery called tree panning, which is basically drilling holes in your skull. And the side effects of this surgery is he begins to have strange hallucinations and disassociations from reality. He has to come to terms with the reality of his new world that he lives in, and he begins to use his newfound power to help people, and we kind of follow this story of addiction and relapse as he loses his power and wants to regain it. It tackles ideas of reality, perception, and addiction. It's a deeply psychological series, and it's by far one of the best things I've ever read, so I can't wait to be able to collect this in physical editions. Homunculus is going to be releasing in June of this year in a 2-in-1 omnibus edition, and there'll be a few of them coming out over the coming months. This is how you know the video is late this year, because the next one is Oshi No Ko, and it's already out. I did a first impressions of Oshi No Ko last year, and the first volume really interested me. However, I didn't read any further because at the time it was digital only, but now it's physically releasing, so I'm going to be collecting the whole series. It is a slice of life series following the life of an idol in Japan, and this idol is young and she's had 2 twin children. Seems pretty simple, right? Well, her 2 children are actually reincarnations of 2 of her biggest fans, whose mission is to make the idol, the best she can be, and solve a couple of mysteries along the way. The series takes some really interesting turns from what I've read so far, and it's looking to be one of the biggest new series, especially when you bear in mind that an anime is soon to be releasing. Like I said, Volume 1 has already released, and you can purchase it from Right Stuff, Forbidden Planet, Book Depository, or Blackwell's. Speaking of which, if you guys want to pick up any manga for yourself, including any of the series that I talk about today, you can head down to the links in the description to any of those aforementioned sites and pick up some manga for your collection. If you purchase using my links, I will be getting a little bit of commission, which allows me to put money back into the channel and buy some new equipment and budget for some cooler videos. Buying through those links is basically a way for you to support the channel at no no extra cost to yourself and get yourself some manga along the way. So if you're enjoying the video and you like the channel, please be sure to use the links in the description. Back to the scheduled programming. Next up, we've got Ayashimon. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This series was created by the same mangaka as Hell's Paradise, which is a series that's been on my watch list for a while. Ayashimon is set in a world run by the Yakuza, with each gang being home to an Ayashimon, a creature that has supernatural powers. The main character, Maruo, has spent his life training, maybe a little bit too much, and he's now too powerful to basically be entertained by anything. That is until he crosses paths with Urara, who is an Ayashimon. She introduces him to this different underworld of Japan, where he can actually test his abilities and his powers. So he decides to join Urara's Yakuza group. There is a pretty big warning sign on this series because it was cancelled by Shonen Jump, so it may not have a satisfying ending, or for that matter any ending at all, which is a little bit weird why they would decide to print this when they cancelled it. All that aside, Ayashimon releases in March of this year, and there will be a first impressions on this channel the week it releases. Next up, we've got Choujin X, which, if you haven't seen it already, I made a first impressions of last week. This was created by the same mangaka as Tokyo Ghoul, Sui Ishida, and it follows our main character Tokyo, who is given the powers of a Choujin. These powers grant him with the bestial ability. He becomes reminiscent of a vulture, and the powers that he's granted are related to kind of the deepest, darkest parts of his psyche and of his desires. So, as you can imagine, this is quite a psychological series once again. Within the first volume, we're delving deep into his psyche and the way he sees himself, and I think the series is going to revolve around this character who is somewhat of a reluctant hero. Now, if you want any more information, you need to go check out my first impressions, but this series has already released as of the release of this video, and you can pick it up anywhere. It definitely has my seal of approval. Now, for our penultimate manga, I've got Innocent by Shinichi Sakamoto. This is a historical drama seinen in the kind of vein of Vagabond, that sort of style, but instead of being set in feudal Japan, it's set in 18th century France during the French Revolution, and it follows a family who have been appointed as the executioners for the monarchy. The main character, Charles, is a kind, sensitive person, which doesn't exactly fit well with his family's role. So when it comes around to him inheriting said role, he's a little bit reluctant. Throughout the course of the manga, we see his growth and the way he changes as a person when put into this certain situation. This is a fairly short series, around 9 volumes, and it is finished, so this will be something that you will immediately know there is an ending for. And to leave off from this section, I'm just going to say this seems like Les Mis as a manga. I don't know. I haven't read it. And finally, we have a series that I've actually read myself and is pretty good. It's Wolverine Snikt. No idea if that's how you pronounce that word, but we're going for it. Now, Wolverine Snikt is a Marvel manga created by Tsutomu Nihei, who, if you didn't know, also made Blam, which is another series that I really want. This is a one-off volume that was actually originally released in comic book format in 2003, which is why I've read it. To give a really brief synopsis, Wolverine, as in the X-Men Wolverine, is transported from modern day to the near future, where the world has been taken over by an alien race and left sort of barren. The aliens are utilizing and controlling all metals on planet Earth, apart from adamantium, which is obviously good for Wolverine. If you didn't know, his bones are made out of adamantium. Goodness me. Now, this is going to be a little bit different to mangas you've read in the past because it's very comic booky, it's very superhero, it's Wolverine. And it has an interesting sci-fi vibe. And whilst it's a really short and pretty basic story, I did actually really enjoy my time with it, and Nihei is a fantastic mangaka, so I wasn't really expecting anything different. And of course, it has fantastic artwork. It was met by quite good reception as well, so I'm sure that when this manga releases in a compendium volume, people are going to enjoy it. I am also looking forward to seeing what the physical release looks like and how they've designed it. Yay! So, those are all the manga that are releasing. Nope. So those are just a couple of the manga that are releasing this year that I think you guys would enjoy and you should definitely pick up. Or read legally online, because that's what we're promoting this year apparently. However, as you're probably aware, there's a lot more manga releasing in 2023. So I want you guys to let me know down in the comments below. Number one, what series are you picking up this year? And number two, what haven't I mentioned that you think I would really enjoy? I've got a video coming soon where I'm going to be reading one chapter of every single one of your recommendations. So get them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, as always, please be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to be alerted every single time that I upload. And if you'd like to support the channel whilst getting yourself some manga along the way, the affiliate links will always be in the description. And just before I go, I want to point you to one of these two videos. One of them is my newest upload and the other is recommended just for you. If you want to click one of those and watch some more Nerd Lounge, then I'll catch you over there. And if not, I hope you have a wonderful day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.